Here we are, finally on the last leg of the snake. And the snake is number 8, and we're going to be talking government, our favourite subject. So basically this comes into these pictures. Again, this is where our government is stemmed from. Or many of the nation's government, again, is always related, connected to the snake. We follow America. Actually, New Zealand is kind of known as the mini America. So, we're following a system that is definitely not for the people. And the snake gods have come into our country like they have in many other countries. The key is, what are we going to do about it? Amazing thing is, again, it's in Pharaoh's time. And here's number 8. It's a snake, and of course it's eating its own tail here again too. But snake, number 8, can actually mean, of course, new beginnings, rebirth, and it can be a good and it could be a not so good. So it depends on what you're going to choose, because there is going to be, new beginnings happening, and it depends whether you're going to go with the New World Order beginnings, which is the plan for internationally to unite all the nations together as in one world government, a new world order, or are we going to choose our Father in heaven, God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob? It does become a choice. The thing is, though, people are actually also scared of change, even though we know things aren't right with the current situation. It's what I call fearing freedom. We tend to stick to what we know because change seems too big, it's too scary. And so we just stay with, where we're at. But sadly, if we do that, I think it is going to get far worse. So I believe in change is a good thing, and as long as you choose the right way. Because we have got a choice, and it'll be coming down to, of course, God, the solution, and His way. So we actually get to how we were meant to have in the beginning. Days 1 right through to day 7, and where of course God separated the light from darkness. He then separated day 2. He separated the waters above and from the waters below. Day 3, God gathered the sea together and caused dry land to appear. He caused seed-bearing vegetation to appear too, so we can eat and be happy. And day 4, He made the sun and the moon to be signs for sacred time, so we're following them, not worshipping them. God created the birds of the air and the fish of the seas. So, and also, of course, day 6, God created the land and the creatures, and He made mankind. Day 7, of course, is rest, and it's a blessed day to be sanctified to Him. So, which is the 7th millennium coming. So that's exciting. His kingdom come. The prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done here on earth as it is in heaven. So that's something I always remember from school, but I'm not sure that's being taught in schools quite so much now. So even those basics are being taken away. Good morality has been taken away. So anyway, so the choice will be either His way, and we always get to have that choice, or will it be the New World Order? So again, and the head is commerce, the snake gods, that will be the head of the New World Order. Okay. So, and part of, we're going to, government, actually, I don't know if people have actually looked into this, what it actually means, but it's derived from the Latin verb govano, or govana, meaning to control, and the Latin noun mens, mentis, meaning mind. So basically, it's to control the mind. So this has been over years and years and years. This is just slowly built up, and we become numb to it. It's like a Medusa effect, and and I think even deep down, I think most of us actually don't really trust the government. So we but we're still following the government, which is following the nations in the New World Order, which of course is following Isis, the snake goddess, which is the power with the money. again, for the New World Order, is representative of the Ouroboros, which is of the Luciferian New World Order. So the snake that bites its tail, it's got to reshed its skin. So it takes, to get this the death to actually have rebirth. So it's a counterfeit system again, because our Father in heaven, his Son, he also died so we could receive life. So this is a copy of it, but not a good one. There's always good and evil. So this is the dark side. So they'll always try to copy it and twist from the original truth and what he has given us. So we choose life. The key, of course, is to unite as a new world order, and to bring the religions together as well. And the head, of course, is being Isis, Ishtar, Queen of Heaven, which will feed Pharaoh. The snake head with the man underneath. This is actually in here. I'm just going to read this out. There's a serpent biting its own tail, is commonly known as the Ouroboros. In mythology, in Norse mythology, the world serpent Jormunga grows so large that it encircles the earth and bites its own tail. In this particular sculpture, the serpent's body rests upon and cradles human skulls, which is of course death, with a crescent moon above its head. So of course the crescent moon is the head. Man's underneath. It's got to have the sacrifices of people so it can still live. And the moon, of course, there is a symbol of Isis. A snaky snake, and we're actually feeding it. It's getting fat, and it's actually almost around the whole world, and that's its objective, is to do that and to eat us up. But those big horrible snakes. So, but we don't need to do that if we choose life. So again, and these religions are all involved. The Pope, sadly, lifts up an ancient symbol of the sun god, carried by a gold piece formed like the crescent moon. There it goes again. Subtly, it's crept into many systems that were following and worshipping other gods other than the one God who created us all. In ancient Egypt, this was a symbol of the mother gods, Isis. Here she is again, just to remind you, the Egyptian mother of gods is holding the sun as her crown. The crescent moon later becomes the very image of Islam. So there is Ishtar, Isis, and of course this is very much resembled through Muslim countries. Again, the crescent moon, the sun. Is that a coincidence? And here, of course, Brown and all these people are all saying that the New World Order is to save the earth. And it's drawing nearer, and Isis, again, like I said, is being the head. They're declaring it. It's been said, many politicians are actually saying about the New World Order. So they're giving us little sneak previews of it, but we're not actually really familiar with all the bigger picture. I'm just going to read some of this out. And basically there's been like a false trinity with Islam and Catholicism, which is the sun god or Father Pope. And the moon goddess is Mother Islam, which is Isis. And the stars of the nations are feeding into her, which is other false gods, mystery religions, Freemasonry, which I've talked about before, the secret societies and the Illuminati. They're all involved in this, and this is where the one world religion comes into it. But that's definitely away from our true God who loves and protects us. These will just trying to eat us up for their own selves and their own control. In the Bible, the harlot, Isis or Ishtar, is having relations with the kings of the earth. Isis approves them because they have pleased her and did as she commanded, that Jezebel type of spirit. which is in Revelation 17, 1-2 and 4-5, and Isaiah 47, 1-15, and Jeremiah 51, 7. The relationship is a two-way street. So Isis gives to the kings the necessities to maintain control and authority. So again, it's all to do with the dollars. In return, the kings swear allegiance to her and provide sacrifices like that big snake with the skulls, like I showed before. This is about a dollar system, materialism, and lusts of the flesh. So we're feeding into it. History is repeating itself like it did in the Bible with the worship of the golden calf. And there's been calves actually, being pulled up. We didn't have one in Christchurch. There was a bull statue we saw in Christchurch Airport not so long ago. And I think that's now gone to the museum to gain, to get its, we require strength from this calf. But it's worshipping always to do with Ishtar. It's the wrong strength. All the time. So this calf has been erected in New York, the golden calf, and here it goes back in biblical times. There we go is the Isis, the moon, and the sun, how it's represented. And then, of course, where it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll back then, worshipping these other gods, and the lusts of the flesh come in. Of course, they built an altar and worshipped it, and after all that God had done to keep them alive and safe coming out of bondage from Egypt, like He provided everything, and they turned their backs. It wasn't a two-way street with Him. They didn't honour Him, even though they saw the amazing miracles. They still didn't honour Him. They turned their backs and they worshipped other false gods. So, of course, He was angry, and the same time's coming because we're doing the same thing. Exodus 32:33, and the Lord said unto Moses, whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. This is serious stuff. So Father is He's a merciful God. He's mercy. He wants His people to come out of the system and worship Him. But how can He if we don't honour Him and recognize Him? Are we still enjoying what the world has to offer, what ISIS has to offer? Are we enjoying that more? Or do we want to come out and present ourselves to the Lord, God, Elohim, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? He's the only God who will actually provide all your needs. And how it's fed, I get a bit thirsty. This whole system is fed in oil, is the big one. And it's from Mecca, Saudi Arabia, which is where basically the hub of activity is. And it's the moon goddess, the false mother, the spirit that actually feeds the whore of Babylon. And there we go. Lots of money, and the oil is helping to raise ISIS. And, of course, they are Mecca rich, literally. I mean, they are diamond cars we're talking about here. And they're also got, from one extreme of poverty to complete rich. There is nothing in between. The poverty gap is huge. So it's either this or starvation. So basically, the government also gets us in many areas. It's sneaking in. This ISIS goddess controls the mind, and sadly it's an education. It's set up to continue for the merchants or the elite of the world. We're talking about doctors, lawyers, scientists. So if you're not tertiary minded, really it's so hard. And the higher we go up into the education system, high school, oh my goodness, if you're not tertiary educated, minded, it's very difficult because the life skills are just not being taught. So which means they're actually becoming more dependent. Like these kids have got no hope. They're lost. They're lost within this whole education system because most people are actually hands-on. They want the life skills. It's in their blood. It's in their DNA. We want to be physical and active and have a purpose in life. Not everyone wants to do algebra. Some of us just aren't designed that way. Some of us are more practical. So these ones becomes more and more dependent on the system because there's no jobs for them. They become like, the poor because they can't get jobs. It's useless. It's an absolutely hopeless system. And of course, so that becomes more dependent on the system and their ways. So David Rockefeller, another good, one of those guys up there who's what I call one of the puppet masters. He has created the General Education Board in 1903 to dispense Rockefeller funds to education. So he's one of the big head guys who actually creates this whole system, takes the Bible out, takes morality out, and basically puts the devil in. Basically he's saying we are on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis, and the nations will accept the New World Order, which is his quote. So they don't want a nation of thinkers. They want a nation of workers to serve them. Start off in kindergarten where all they're nice and light and bubbly and they're still childlike. And as we continue on to this system's ways, which is not being fed life, it's taking us away into sin, and we become robotic. We become lifeless. There's more gadgets in schools that is there, sadly, than learning how to cook. And even in cooking classes today, because my 14-year-old's there, it's so sad. Thank goodness she can cook. But a lot of kids can't. And they learn how to cook mashed potatoes out of a packet, for goodness sake. So this is how crazy it's all become. She's also noticed that, it's so easy to get processed crappy food that's got no nutrients, and it's cheap and it's nasty, and everyone's eating it, and all our kids are on antidepressants by the age of 16. It's crazy nuts. They're on more sex is taught in school and how to prevent STDs and all these things by giving out condoms. It's gone crazy, but there's no basic life skills. It just breaks my heart. And of course our health is also governed by the pharmaceuticals. It's got harm in pharmaceuticals, who of course create disease and death for dollars. If we're all healthy, like I haven't been to the doctor since I can remember, so if we're all living like myself and my children, then there's no money in it. It loses its power. Pharaoh loses its power. So the control, once you have more information, you have the power over this whole system by we all uniting in the same way, because this is not for anyone's good, no matter what religion, no matter what faith you have. Common sense tells us this is not right. Here it is again. Again, like I said, this is the devil. By the people who are not sure if they know who that is the devil goat. There's the catechist. This is the medical association. It's right there. And then, of course, here we are. The pharmaceuticals, spelt pharmaceuticals, definitely has more harm than farm, F-A-R-M, we're talking about here. So the pharmaceutical industry does not create cures. They create customers. Imagine if they got cures. The cure's actually with us. If we actually come out of her, my people, he will provide all your needs, because he's given everything to us freely. But we're buying into this. It's nuts. And we're all sick and unhappy and obese and depressed. Suicide is huge. So isn't it time that we come away and live simplistically and happy, or are we still fearing freedom? And of course, here we go again, the snakes. Here's the pharmaceuticals. On the heads with all this it's hospitals, the Asclepius, the catechus, all the snakes, the nurses, and look at that, the catechus systems. Oh my goodness. It's in your face. Start looking around. I saw it when I was just up recently in some other towns, and these symbols are everywhere. Have a look. And the systems are worldwide and are directed from these false gods who are supporting Isis, Ishtar, Queen of Heaven, the sneaky snake, powered by the mighty dollar. Well, it's not mighty. And the snake is lurking everywhere because it's in these holistic healthcare systems as well. And of course, many people hate religion. Yeah, I'm not a religious person either. People say, "Oh, what religion you have?" No, I don't have a religion. I have a relationship. It's like when I'm talking to you guys now, I'm talking to him. You know what I mean? And he talks back. But it's whether you believe, it's whether you have faith. Once you learn and trust and obey him in obedience because you love him, it's amazing what you get back in return. So religion, many people who don't want religion, though, which is a good thing because we don't want a religion, have it whether they like it or not. So most of us are aware we're actually feeding into a religious system. The key is not to follow religion, which is man-made and false gods, but rather have a relationship with the true God of love and peace. He's a good guy. And God doesn't want your meaningless rituals. He just wants your heart. That's it. He wants your heart. Yeah. So with all the government, they control many things, this whole system, because I'll say the puppet masters, the Illuminatis, the Freemasons, a lot of people high up in religions, and this is Judaism, it's Christianity, it's Catholicism, this is where the heads are following this whole system. And I'm not sure how many do actually know. But anyway, the media, again, most is controlled. There's not much independent media out there because they're fearing they're going to lose their money. So most is controlled, and that's what, they put the fear into people. It's happened to me myself with some things. If Rachel still writes for the paper, we're going to take the advertising budget away. So it does happen. So it's controlled and regulated by the system who wants to keep it that way. So there we go. Kind of funny that a lot of people actually believe in what the news says. We haven't got to tell anymore. It's like, there's too much, the stuff is, you've got to look for the independent stuff, you know what I mean? And that's same with anything. It's like in my whole food journey, you've got to look. Technology is also changing. Once free, is now will be regulated. This is the worldwide net. US says transfer of internet governance will go ahead, and it's just happened on October 1st, 2016. The US will go ahead with its plan to hand over oversight of the internet's domain name system functions to a multi-stakeholder body on October 1st, despite fierce opposition from some lawmakers and advocacy groups. Times are changing really quick. Won't be long before some sites are pulled down who are speaking out truth. Now, didn't that happen once before with, burning of the books? Can you remember that in World War II? And again, systems. People don't want to, follow Father because there's too many rules. Well, actually, there's a lot more rules that we're following here, and they're not for our good. The rules he set in place is for our protection because he loves us. Systems, not sure how smart this is because we're being watched everywhere. I got rid of my FPOS. It's the best thing I've ever done. I'm more than an FPOS transaction. But the sad thing is most people like it. It can be convenient. It can be. So I see the good, but there's actually, it's a carrot. It's a snake. It's got this sneaky, tempting, always tempting with the carrot. But it appears really no one is truly looking up. Is this how we want to connect with people? Head down? Seriously? Oh, it's so hard to try and actually, your children get it, they become addicted to it. It's nuts. It's nuts. I hate it. And it's so hard on the parents, hard enough being a parent, then you've got a gadget in your life. And of course, all this whole system thing was first presented to animals. Look at that. Oh, in case the animals get lost. It's a great thing to have. Yes, but maybe it's actually getting that all started so they can do it to us. And guess what? It already has started. But the thing is, though, too, is that it's not just having to be a physical chip implant, which I believe is definitely going to happen more and more. The technology is right there anyway, and it is happening already in some parts of the world. So to be aware of it. But the thing is, it depends, like to me, is that if we're wanting the money, you got to get the chip. You know, everything's got labels on it these days, you know, to control the system. So we watch everything. But if we follow him, you know, and decide his way rather than ISIS way, we don't need any of this stuff at all. So definitely I prefer a type of chip, and it's called an organic potato chip. So team, would you like one of those? Because they taste a whole heap better. It's life-giving. The solution again, meet him at the cross and either accept his mark, which is nevertheless the foundation of God standeth sure, having this seal. You have the seal if you choose it. The Lord knoweth them that are his, and let every one that nameth the name of Christ depart from iniquity or sin, which is 2 Timothy 2:19. And so either accept the mark of Christ, coming and meeting him at the cross. That's the only way you get to know him, through his son, Yeshua, Jesus. Or the mark of man. Again, the pyramids. It's a symbol, the Illuminati watching, you know, and here they are worshipping this god from Egyptian times. Same thing. We do have a choice. Remembering the snake will bite. ISIS isn't what you might think it is. CIA agents. The mainstream media wants you to believe that the recent invasion of Iraq by ISIS was a spontaneous action, and that ISIS is acting independently to claim Iraq as its own. What they fail to mention is that the US and other key players such as Turkey and Saudi Arabia have been arming, funding and training members of ISIS since 2007. The snake will bite. And we're just allowing it through because we like the lusts of the flesh. So really, there is a sign in the world right now, and we're coming to the elections in America, and believe me, the trumpet, or the trump, is blowing. It's a warning, people. It's a warning. And the thing is, as well, again, the solution to come away from this to him, hallelujah, I say, is day 8. Day 8 is day of the Lord to come. It's liberation. It's true freedom, what it really means. It's freeing hearers and doers. You know, liberation is freedom. So we don't need to fear it. We just got to believe in there's a better world, a kingdom come. The creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For creation was subjected to frustration. It is very frustrating, not by its own choice, but the will of the one who subjected it, in the hope that creation itself will be liberated or free from its bondage to decay and brought into the glorious freedom of the children of God. Romans 8 verses 19 to 21. That's what gives me such a joy, because I know it's true. And it's the prayer that we knew a long time ago, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, which is Matthew 6:10. We're anticipating the time. And it's to be ready. We're like a bride in waiting. We want to be prepared without spot or wrinkle. So be ready. Your king is coming. Put on your garments of praise. And believe me, it's not a fairy tale story. It's true love. It really is a love story. And they always, have the prince, coming on a white horse. And our Saviour does. He is returning for his bride from the heavenly realm back to earth. For thy kingdom come, thy will be done here on earth as it is in heaven. So again, the solution is simple. In faith, turn to him, repent of your old ways, and ask him into your heart and life, and he will show you the way. Blessings and much love from him and from me, passing on this message in love. Because he loves you too. And I say, woohoo! What a ride. And there's more to come. And just to quickly mention too, there's a girl, lovely, she's a young girl who brought in this picture to me. She wants us, to show you guys. And it's from my friend Zara. And anyway, she's done this from her own thing. And she's starting to recognise what's going on in the world and how things aren't so pretty. And anyway, one here says, would you rather buy one iPhone 7 or save 12 starving people for a year? That's the first thing she said. What would you want to do? What really would you want to do? And she's also said 60% of world's hunger are women. 60%. Huge. 15.3 million children under the age of 18 in the United States live in households with no food. There's 15.3 million. The snake is biting. 842 million people struggle with hunger. 842 million. Every 10 seconds a child dies of hunger. The world's hunger is getting ridiculous, she says. There is more fruit in a rich man's shampoo, pretend fruit, but still I see what she's saying, than in a poor man's plate. $100 can help one child for 1 year. If everyone gave $1, think about how many people it can save. Start each day with a grateful heart. 1 in every 8 people go to bed hungry each night. Now the sad thing is while this is happening around the world, these young ones are starving. But actually, who's worse off? Really? They are starving. But I think, they have probably more faith. We're starving. We haven't been fed the food anyway. We're starving too. And not only starving physically, but emotionally and spiritually. It's time we have our daily bread provided from the Ruach HaKodesh, Jesus Yeshua. So this is what we're waiting for the return, so we can be fed in all ways, physical, spiritual, and emotional, to make us woohoo. And thanks, Zara. That's a wonderful poster. She's only 12. Yes, she is. She's done really well. So, guys, hopefully that's given you some food for thought, and literally, and you have a great woohoo rest of the week, and blessings, and may Father soften your heart that you have eyes to see and ears to hear, and change is coming. Let's hope you choose the right one. Hallelujah. Amen.